Oh, I can't hear you.
Of course, I went and hit mute when I was trying to hit unmute.
Yeah.
The computer's playing pranks on me. Anyone that doesn't use StreamYard mutes you at the beginning and then it like unmutes you on its own. So I hit unmute and the computer muted me because, me and the computer were playing games. All right. So we're back. Sorry we missed last Sunday. I was out in Metropolis, Illinois. Anybody that hasn't been out there, you need to go out there. But we've had a busy week, Nettie and I, and Nettie's got a little bit of announcement here at the beginning of the stream just to kind of explain if she's hitting mute. So I'm going to let her take it away real quick.
Okay. Well, we finally got Mel fixed, I guess. He's well. He doesn't have vertigo anymore. And then I ended up with a severe sinus infection. So I still sound a little bit nasally. I'm trying not to cough. And if I happen to have an attack, I'm going to mute myself. So that's basically what's been going on with me as well. So hopefully I'll be on the mend here real soon.
So everybody out there, if you could keep Nettie in your prayers that she gets to feeling 100% soon. Yes. Seems like, hey Keisha, sorry, I just seen Keisha over there. She doesn't get in very often, so hello. Yeah. But if everybody could keep Nettie in your prayers that she keeps getting better and better and feeling better, that would be great. And then we need to make our quick announcement that although these are serious situations that we cover, a lot of them are devastating. Like I can't even imagine today's scenario of a case. Yeah. I can't wrap my head around it. And a lot of the time that's why we cover these cases, because we would never, ever do anything like that. But with that being said, sometimes there is a little bit of laughter that happens while we talk about these cases, because sometimes laughter is healing in the most stressful of situations. So please do not take offense to that. We cover these cases in order to bring awareness to the fact that there are and there is evil in the world. So, yeah. With that being said, let's jump over to the comment section and welcome everyone in on this lovely Sunday. All right. Oh, also, at the very top, I have a pinned comment to let everybody know this is a story suggestion from Roy and Becky's Travels. And I've linked their YouTube channel, so I know most of you already have them, but if you don't have them, go ahead and click that link and add them. And anyone else that has story suggestions, make sure you're sending them over to Nettie or I, because we do love the suggestions. We have Roy and Becky. Hello. Tommy Travels. It is October, and Tommy is putting out the spooky content. If you have not seen his videos lately, man, I wish I lived by him. He has one of the best haunts I've ever seen. One of the best spooky, like you go there and there's a haunted hayride and there's all these different haunted places all in one place. And it looks like the most spectacular. Go watch his videos. That's what I'm saying. Go watch his videos.
Oh, wow.
Awesome. There was a spider that dropped out of nowhere on a hayride that he was riding. It's crazy. And it was meant to pop out of nowhere. It wasn't like it was an accident. It's crazy. Shanna Craft, hello. Linda Barker, Thrifty Angela. Again, She has great content coming out right now. Lots of crafts. Keisha, hello. All right. Let me see. It's scrolled up on me here. Sorry if I miss anybody. All right. I think I got everybody. If I missed anyone, I am sorry. I'm about to start cooking dinner. What's for dinner? Yeah, Tommy,
It's always something good.
Yeah. Oh, she's always cooking something good. Yeah, Tommy's got to notice by his comment section how I was into his content yesterday. I was like, comment after comment on the same video. Like I was shocked by some of the stuff that I was seeing. So I think I left like 10 comments on one video. I might be exaggerating, but seriously, it was good.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump into today's story. A murderous mommy. This is a disturbing case of Diane Downs. This is definitely disturbing, don't you think, Nettie?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Another creepy look, right?
Like, what is wrong with some of these people? Do they do this? They're like, oh, there's a camera. I'm going to try to be as scary and freaky as I can possibly be. We have Angie and Rick's family adventures in here. All right. Nobody wants to imagine that a mother can harm her own child. Parents are supposed to protect and care for their children and raise them with unconditional love. From the moment you bring a bundle of joy into the world, you don't stop caring for them. Parents are always worried that something might happen to their precious child. Not only a child, like an animal. Like if we're going to get down to like basic human nature, if you bring a cat or a dog, a puppy, like a gerbil, a fish, you want to care for it and love it. A child is a whole nother level of love. So I can't imagine.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine this.
That's why it's always comes as a shock when you hear the horror stories about a mother murdering her own child. A mother's supposed to have a natural compassion and not loving her child goes against nature in so many ways.
Yeah. I want to say she looks normal, but she doesn't look normal here. Something's still off with her in that picture.
No, she looks like she's a little off. Yeah.
Yeah, something's off. It makes no sense from biological, evolutional, and psychological standpoints. So the big question is, what kind of psychotic mother is capable of committing such heinous crimes against her own babies? This is the horrific story of Diane Downs. Mommy dearest. Ugh.
Yeah. No wire hangers. In 1984, Elizabeth Diane Downs was sentenced to life in prison after being convicted for the shooting and attempted murder of her 3 young children.
Has anyone noticed the uptick of stories like this now? Like, you didn't hear about mothers killing their children before. Like, very rarely
Right.
did you hear that. It was like Diane Downs was a very rare case. But if you look into true crime right now on YouTube, there's probably 3 or 4 stories currently going right now where they're trying to finalize pressing charges on parents right now of like 3 or 4 kids right now that are like on open investigations, but like you can tell the parents are, if that makes sense, the parents haven't fully been arrested. But I mean, just it's scary if you think about it, because that tells you the psyche of the world now compared to where it was, I guess.
Right.
Hey, Fairy Does, Weep the Wild Winds. Hello and welcome.
And Linda Barker says that she looks like a little Princess Diana, but an evil.
You know
twin.
what? That's true. That's very true. She looks like she's supposed to be a loving mother right here. Like she looks like, I don't know, she looks like she could have been a loving mother. One of them died after what she did. At the time this all took place, Downs told police that some guy attempted to carjack them and took out a gun. Of course, that was quickly proven to be a lie. Tommy said children have gotten a lot more lippy since then. Now, this is true. This would be very true. Children have gotten a lot more lippy, and they've also gotten to the point where they can get away with a lot more these days. Parents are a lot more scared to reprimand their children.
Oh, yeah. Downs managed to escape prison in 1987, and she was on the run for a brief time before getting recaptured. She deserves to rot and die in there.
Almost every picture is terrifying of her. I don't think that she's taken. The only one that looked semi-normal was the one with her and her kids, and that's because her kids were in it. Her kids were distracting from her looking nutty.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up. Elizabeth Diane Fredrickson was welcomed into the world on August 7th, 1995 in Phoenix, Arizona, to her religious parents, Wes and Willadine Fredrickson. She claims her father SA'd her as a child, but that was never confirmed. Given her track record of lying, most people don't believe her story. Wait a minute. So she was born in 1995? Diane Downs was? Okay, my brain's broken. Thinking that she's...
Yeah, that's what it says, but I thought this was... What if they got the time?
Yeah, I think that might be wrong. Her age might be wrong there.
Yeah. And those are her parents.
Yeah, maybe that's... My brain broke for a minute. I was like, no, she's older than that.
Yeah.
Her parents look so sweet.
Don't they?
They look like the type of people to be, come on in, have some fried green tomatoes.
Yeah.
I got some tomatoes I grew in the garden. Take some home with you. Like, they look so sweet.
Mm-hmm. She attended Moon Valley High School in Phoenix. That's where she met her high school sweetheart and future husband, Stephen Downs. She then attended Pacific Coast Baptist Bible College in Orange, California, but she got expelled for promiscuity and moved back to her parents' home.
Tommy traveled. It's the photographer's fault. He keeps saying, now, show me Spawn of Satan. That's why her pictures keep showing up so crazy. That's funny.
Yeah.
An evil mother. If y'all hear this cat, I'm sorry. She is one of the most vocal cats ever, and she is sitting here pawing at me right now because I'm not petting her. I'm busy, and she's not happy. I'm sorry.
It said she was born in 1955.
Oh, okay.
August 7th, so that was a typo.
On November 13th, 1973, she walked down the aisle with Steve Downs. They split up in 1980, but not before she had his babies. By all accounts, from neighbors, acquaintances, and even friends and family, Diane Downs was an unfit mother who put everything before her children.
Wow.
I wonder if her brain broke. Like she had some kind of like she looks normal there.
She does. I see
Maybe,
that's again, I don't understand how they flip, you know? Because like here she looks normal, they end up having a family and then she's just kind of gets off her rocker. I don't get it.
well, I know with mental health, and I'm not
Yeah.
saying all mental health, but with like serious mental health issues, that like people that have serious breaks, like someone I used to take care of, I was trying to figure out how to say this, but someone I used to take care of had schizophrenia. And when the medicines would be off quite a bit and they would start to hear voices and think things were bugged and stuff like that, their facial expressions would completely change. They looked very different on like very, very different when you're looking at them. And I think it was the stress of all of the different things that they were hearing um, caused them to look so very different, because they were going through such an emotional and mental like roller coaster, so that it caused them to physically look different. So
Yeah.
maybe she did have some kind of mental break because she looked very
Yeah.
typical and normal here. Uh, Linda said, it's just a different photographer that wasn't asking her to look like Satan.
Yeah.
Keisha said there's something in the eyes still, though. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
could see that a bit.
They noted that she was especially cruel to her daughter Cheryl shortly before her death. Cheryl reportedly told people that she was scared of her mother, and Downs was creepily addicted to being pregnant. But we'll get into all of that in just a moment.
Shaco always comes in with crazy comments. So he says, she reminds me of my childhood American Cocker Spaniel. Is it the haircut? Because the haircut was kind of reminding me of that.
Right? That Cheryl that was scared of her.
The little girl is. And then this is Diane Downs on the right-hand side, correct?
Correct.
The hair and the wistful look. I don't know. She almost seems happy. Like
Yeah.
the publicity. I don't know. Her rebellious phase never ended. As we mentioned, Diane grew up in a religious household but became a rebellious child when she was about 14. She even dropped Elizabeth from her name and decided the conservative life wasn't for her. She dated Steve Downs despite her parents' disapproval. Hello, PSV Odyssey. Howdy, howdy, howdy to you as well.
Mm-hmm. After they eloped, Diane's extramarital affairs caused a strain on their marriage, so she left Steve and went back to her parents. But she was already pregnant by that point and gave birth to her first child, Christiane, in 1974.
More babies. They welcomed their second daughter, Cheryl Lynn, in 1976. Despite Steve's vasectomy, Diane ended up pregnant once again, but she had a I don't know if we're allowed to say that word, so I'm going to say A.
Okay.
She and Steve started working at a mobile home manufacturing company, and Downs was fooling around with some of her coworkers. Yeah, I was going to say, if he had a vasectomy, is he sure this was his kid? But I
Right.
guess not. Oh.
Yeah. As a result, Diane got pregnant yet again. She gave birth to Stephen Danny Downs in December of 1979. Steve was well aware that he wasn't the father, but he accepted the child anyway. By 1980, Steve and Diane had split up. After the divorce, she had countless affairs while trying to reconcile with Steve.
I'm trying to wrap my head around this. She's like, look, baby, look, we know that I am out there hoeing around, and this kid's not yours. But look, we're gonna make it all better because it's a boy, and I'm gonna give it your name.
Yeah.
So everything's okay, right? We're good. I'm trying real hard to understand this, but is that how this conversation went down? That's how I'm thinking this conversation went. What? Okay. He says, shag all the things. Oh my gosh. I just can't. Name a kid that you know is not even yours after him. Yeah, that'll help.
Yeah.
The kid in his arms looks so unhappy already. Like
She
so
does,
sad.
right?
The older child that's standing looks like she knows how to put on the show already. You know, like all right, people are looking at us, time to smile. But the younger one looks miserable. Addicted to pregnancy.
In order to bring in money, Diane decided to become a surrogate mother, which is so disturbing in retrospect. As it turned out, Diane didn't qualify after failing two psychiatric exams. The test reports indicated that she was intelligent but also psychotic.
Well, as it turns out, I also thought I thought you couldn't do that if you had the A word that I didn't mention earlier. I thought you
Oh,
couldn't carry for anyone else if you had that.
yeah.
So she tries to look so sophisticated and put together.
Mm-hmm.
In 1981, Diane started working as a postal carrier for the United States Post Office. Sorry. If anyone doesn't know, if you look up, there is a history of a lot of United States Postal Office workers kind of going batty. I don't know what it is. Like maybe we should do a story on that sometime.
Yeah.
But apparently, a lot of post office workers kind of lose their marbles. Anyway, so it doesn't surprise me that was a job for her. So during that time, the children stayed with her parents, Steve and Danny's biological father, in rotation. Oh, so she knew who the biological. Wait a minute. Can you imagine
I
being the
know.
kid's biological father and he's named after her husband? Mind blown. Okay, sorry. Okay, during that time, the children stayed with their parents, Steve and Danny's biological father, in rotation. Neighbors reported that Diane didn't care for her children properly when they stayed with her. Okay, this lady and the men that dealt with her foolishness They
Right.
need a psych evaluation as well. I'm sorry. Following her dreams.
Despite failing 2 psychiatric exams that showed signs of being a psychopath, Diane got an offer to be a surrogate towards the end of that year. She gave birth to a baby through surrogacy on May 8, 1982. Soon enough, she wanted to make her passion a hobby and launch a surrogacy clinic. Thankfully, the venture failed.
Losing my mind. I'm losing my
That's my
mind as
life
we go.
dream to have babies.
I noticed my light. Nettie mentioned this earlier. I don't know if it's bugging anybody else. My light keeps dimming and coming back on. It's actually my camera is going in and out of focus. I apologize. Hopefully by next week I will have that fixed and have a surprise for you all when I come
Yay.
back on camera. But for now, sorry, we got to deal with it going in and out. All right. Let's do some comments over here. Ferida said, psychotic and still able to help her kids. Who's more psychotic?
Yeah.
Hence the term going postal. Back in the old days, the glue used on stamps was a slow poison. That's very
Uh-oh.
interesting. And you know what? I never really thought about that. The going postal. Interesting. I think that really is a story we should look into and kind of put together different stories of postal workers, like little short form stories. That would be
Yeah.
cool to do. Oh, wait, you thought she was following her dreams before? Wait until you see this. Seriously, like, oh, this is something. This lady is something.
She's a little out there.
Diane Downs signed a $10,000 contract in September of 1981 and agreed to be artificially inseminated, according to the Washington Post. Downs repeated the process in February of 1983.
I guess that was easy money for her.
I guess.
During that time, Downs began a whirlwind affair with a married man named Robert Knickerbocker. The more she nagged him to leave his wife, the more suffocated Nick felt, and he ended their relationship. Diane moved back to Oregon, but instead of getting over Nick, she became obsessed with him.
Well, of course, he didn't go along with all her craziness. Oh, you know what, Shaco? This explains so much. He says, I worked with the Canada Post. I could go full posto without the help of any foreign substances.
There's Nick.
He looks so normal.
Yeah.
That fateful night. On the eerie night of May 19, 1983, Diane Downs arrived at an emergency room in Springfield, Oregon. Her 3 children, Christy, 8, Cheryl, 7, and Danny, 3, were all covered in blood in the back seat. They had been shot point blank.
Sadly, the doctors declare Cheryl dead at the scene, and the other 2 children were suffering from life threatening injuries.
Aww.
Yeah, she's the one that died at the scene.
Investigators were suspicious of Diane from the start. They immediately noticed she was way too calm for someone who had just gone through something so traumatic. But their suspicions increased when Diane went to see Christy in the hospital for the first time. Red flags.
As soon as Christy saw her mother, the little girl looked terrified, and her heart rate jumped dramatically. They also realized that Diane called Nick, her married ex-lover, as soon as she got to the hospital. She seemed to be enjoying the attention.
When she was asked what happened that night, Downs told a story that was far-fetched, to say the least. She explained that she was flagged by a man on the side of a dirt road while her children were sleeping in the car. Her ridiculous story.
She described a shaggy-haired man who demanded her car. When she refused, he shot her children. During the struggle, this man also shot her in the arm, but conveniently, her injuries weren't serious at all.
While her children were fighting for their lives in the hospital, Downs started giving a bunch of media interviews, telling weird stories and maintaining her innocence.
Unfortunately for Diane, her story didn't add up. It was filled with unnecessary details that brought down the logistic I can't say
Legitimacy.
yeah of her statements and is common when people are lying.
Loving the attention. She described that she was taking the kids to go sightseeing in the dark while they were
In the
sleeping.
dark.
Yeah, in the dark while they were sleeping.
Yeah.
This made no sense, and the police were onto her. There were so many red flags.
When they got a hold of her journal, they discovered that she had been having an affair with a married man. Her lover did not want kids, which caused Diane to see them as a burden.
The kids that she so desperately loved having and just wanted to keep having kids. Little Christy suffered a stroke that impaired her ability to speak. But when she woke up, she managed to tell police what she remembered. Spoiler alert, it didn't involve a shaggy-haired man. How about a shaggy-haired woman?
Yeah.
Not a single tear.
Let's get one thing straight. Although uncommon, it's not impossible that a random dude would have shot her kids with absolutely no motive or personal gain. It was Diane's disturbing behavior that raised red flags for the police.
First of all, it was clear Diane loved the attention. Most people can't put a sentence together after going through something so heartbreaking, let alone give interviews. She didn't seem sad or even shed a tear for her poor babies. Doctors were shocked at her demeanor following the incident. Yeah, I can't imagine, why would you even be talking to anybody at that point? Your babies are in the hospital, one's passed away,
Yeah. And the other two are struggling to be alive.
yeah. Her terrifying reaction. Demonic is true,
Yeah.
Shako.
As you could imagine, doctors were not looking forward to telling Diane that Christy had a stroke and that Danny was going to be partially paralyzed for the rest of his life. But what they were dreading the most was breaking the news about Cheryl's death.
Oh,
I know.
again with the sadness from the younger one, yet the older one seems to know how to put on that very fake smile.
Yeah.
And this is the middle-aged one, right? And so it seems that she's kind of learned, she's not fully faking it, but she's
Yeah.
like that in between. It's interesting to me. I don't know if anybody else in the comments, let me know if anyone else grew up kind of in that home where you weren't allowed to show your emotions, or you were supposed to hide things if things were happening at home. So when I look at these kids, I can see that or connect to that, where, I knew that I was supposed to flash a smile when I was out in public, no matter if mom and dad just had a huge fight. It didn't matter. When we got out of that car, our faces better have a smile on them. No matter how sad, scared, or whatever we were, we knew how to act when we got out of the car. And that's what I see in these children when I look at these pictures. But you got to think about that from, the younger ages don't really fully know that yet. As the older they get, the better they are at portraying that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's what I see when I look at the pictures of these kids, which breaks my heart, especially with how things go in the end for them.
Mm-hmm.
Just seems like such a sad and tragic.
And she was already terrified of her mom. She was talking about how
Yeah.
her mom was already being mean to her, you know?
It's like, not only did this happen to them, but their lives up to that point were already so hard,
Yeah. Diane didn't seem bothered by this horrifying news. The doctors explained that they were expecting waterworks. Sure, people react to trauma in different ways, but the hospital staff noted that there was something really unsettling about Diane's reaction.
Yeah, I mean, and it doesn't matter. If people react differently, yes, for sure, people are going to react differently. But anybody that's told that their child has passed, you're going to cry, like a lot. You're not going to just sit there stone faced and not cry. You're going to cry a lot if you find out your child passed. There is not a single person that's going to sit there and hear that and not bawl their eyes out. I'm
Right.
sorry, that's not. Even the toughest of like military men, I think, would still break down to that.
Mm-hmm. I would think so.
Diane was emotionless when she Diane was emotionless when he told her that Christy had suffered a stroke and was in a coma. He was shocked when she suggested he pull the plug, as Christy was likely brain dead. The doctor got a judge to legally make him and another doctor, Christy Downs, guardians so they could treat her in peace.
I can't even imagine her saying that.
Well, she was trying to off the children, so she was just
Yeah.
continuing her plan of action.
She's like, I got two left and they got to go.
Yeah. Like, she had to be out of her mind because, one, she already tried to take their lives, and then she's sitting there in the hospital not crying. Like, anybody in their right mind would know they're supposed to cry when they hear that about their children. You know what I mean? And then to say, oh, yeah, just go ahead and pull that plug. Like, if you were of your sound mind and doing what she has done here, you would think you would be smart enough to be like, oh, like crying, like play the part better. She doesn't even seem to be
Right.
playing the
She
part
doesn't even
very
play
well.
it. Mm-mm.
A disturbing reenactment. The most disturbing of all is a video you can find on YouTube. Just a few days after the incident, Diane is sitting in a car, acting out what happened to the police. Most people would be bawling their eyes out while reenacting the most terrible night of their life. Tommy said, I'll cry at a Tide commercial. I'll be like, that stain will never come out.
Now this is the little. This is a little video that we have that I was able to get.
So Nettie did find the video of her reenacting this. So we're going to switch over now. And I am going to... All right. I'm going to pull this up so that we can watch her reenact this.
Just 4 days after her 7-year-old daughter was killed, Downs is filmed reenacting the attack.
Sitting in the car is Elizabeth Diane Downs, one of the victims of this attempt murder.
I'm throwing the keys, okay? I'm throwing the keys.
Simulating.
Yes, I go like that. I got in the car, jumped in, put the keys in. I just hit my cast. Started the car and left. The car door shut itself.
Downs seems lighthearted, giggling, even fixing her makeup.
Hey guys.
Now there is a longer video out there, like 8 minutes, but I showed this one because during the whole reenactment, that's all she's doing is goofing around.
She's laughing.
Yeah.
Like, who would be laughing after, like, who would be laughing? Why is she laughing?
Especially your kids were just shot, and you're reenacting that crime scene.
Yeah, that's
However,
ridiculous.
Diana,
I'm sorry.
Did it move?
Yeah, I got things. I just started hitting a whole bunch of buttons and I got things all messed up here. Give me one second.
Okay. The eyes have it.
All right, hold on 1 second. Let me find where we were.
And it'll be right after the car where she's sitting in the car.
Disturbing reenactment. All right, hold on 1 second. Let me get to some comments real quick and then we're gonna go on. Sheko said, I get anxious at stains. I can relate. Roy and Becky said, she was focused on getting a new man. She never focused or truly cared about those kids. Very true. Sheko said, what the F? Right? The laughing and giggling when she was reenacting it. Oh, I hit my cast. What? What is that? Most people wouldn't want to go near the car after something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be like, I'm sorry, I can't. James, guy, hello. Thanks for stopping in and hitting the thumbs up. I really, really appreciate that. BB3 was discombobulated by the video. I was like, is she seriously laughing right now? Like, what is happening? Very wrong. Yeah, good point, Tommy. Yeah, that is a very good point. Who would want to go near the car where their child was just killed? Like, I don't know. It seems very, very wrong. All right. Now, I think we're all good. Let's jump back in.
Look at her, she's smiling away.
Just a big, huge smile on her face. Sitting in the car where some strange man shot her kids.
Yeah. However, Diana didn't act like a mother who had just lost a child. In fact, she was joking around and laughing with the police officers. The strange part is that she didn't even pretend to care. Usually, psychopaths at least mimic real emotions, and that's how they become so manipulative.
That's what I was saying. Like at the hospital, you think she
Yeah.
would have mimicked what people would do, like, oh, they're coming to tell me that my daughter died. I'm supposed to cry here. Like you think she would have like faked or
Yeah.
you've seen like Chris Watts. Sorry, I know, bad subject, but when you seen him doing the interviews, even though he was like weird and everybody knew he was weird, he was at least like trying his hardest to get a tear out. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
And she's like, "Oh, just pull the plug." She's
she's
going to
like, pull the plug and
bring this.
I hit my cast. Like so
Yeah.
weird. Fairy dust. Let me have 5 minutes with her. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I bet that's what the people in the jail were saying. I bet they got their 5 minutes.
Yep.
Her stories made no sense. Evidently, the evidence didn't match Diane's story. There was no blood on the driver's side of the car, nor was there any gunpowder residue on the driver's panel. Nick reported to the police that Diane was stalking him and seemed like she would go as far as to kill his wife if that meant she had him to herself. So he's like, she done took out the kids. My wife is next. Help.
And what would she do when she's with them? She would just sleep around on them. That seems like that's her pattern,
Yeah, I think there's people, though. No, I know there's people. I know because I have a person. There's people that they will mess with you forever because you did not do what they want you to do.
Yeah.
And that's what it seems like here is all these other guys did what she wanted, so she didn't want anything to do with them, right?
Yeah.
They're trash. They do what she wants. The first one, though, that was like, no, I'm not dealing with this. That's the one that she's like, I'm gonna make
Like
this
she had
one
to
do.
conquer him.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
a control thing.
Yeah.
She's got to get that control. Hey, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. My friend's mom had one of those cars when I was growing up.
Oh, really? Nick went on to say that he was relieved when Diane moved to Oregon and he was able to work things out with his wife. Down also didn't tell the police that she had a 22 caliber handgun, but her ex-husband and her ex-lover confirmed that she did, in fact, own a gun.
Yeah, they were like, we're next.
Yeah.
Oh, you're fine, fairy dust. You're fine. Some damning evidence. Investigators eventually found out she had bought the handgun in Arizona, although they couldn't find the actual weapon. They did discover unfired castings in her house with extractor markings from the same gun that shot her kids. Things were not looking good for Diane. The evidence continued to pile up against her. See, okay, so they may not have the gun, but they have the bullets with the exact markings on them from the gun that shot her kids. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The most damning evidence was Christie's witness statement claiming her mother did this and then drove them to the hospital slowly, estimating speed between 5 and 7 miles per hour.
That's insane. That story is insanity. Yeah, I was thinking kind of the same thing. Although, I don't know about that because the 22 can do a lot
At
of
close
damage.
range. She was
Yeah,
at close range.
a 22 can do a lot of damage depending on a lot of different variables, but that's a whole nother discussion. But yeah, I mean, what she's done is just sick.
Yeah.
Thanks to Christie's statement, police were able to arrest Downs in February of 1984, 9 months after the shooting. She was charged with murder and 2 counts of attempted murder and criminal assault. Yeah, offing someone's spouse is such a turn on. They'll want to marry you immediately.
Yeah.
And she's just smiling it up.
Smiling away.
A real go-getter. Trial begins.
Prosecutors explained that Diane wanted to get rid of her children so she could continue her affair with Nick, who didn't want kids. Although it sounded absurd, this was an easy one for her. This was an easy one for the prosecution. There was just so much evidence against her. Oh, and by the way, Diane was 8 months pregnant during her trial.
What? Please tell me it's not Nick's baby.
No, it's not Nick's. There she is, all happy and pregnant.
She's enjoying the attention. Yeah, Linda Barker, that's something I was thinking at the very beginning of this story. It seemed like she just loves attention. Doesn't matter how she gets it. It seems like she's very much loving any and all attention.
Yeah.
The disgust that I have in me right now looking at this woman being pregnant after all that she's done is just Once Christie recovered her ability to speak, she took the stand and told the terrifying story of how her mother shot all 3 of them and then shot herself in the arm. Christie was just 8 when they were shot and 9 during the trial. The poor girl went through so much before she even turned 10 years old. My God. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yikes. That is so much for a little girl. Guilty on all charges. Like the mothers that keep their kids sick for attention. Yeah. Munchausen syndrome by proxy. Yeah.
It didn't take much to convince a jury. For a psychopath, Diane Downs was horrible at faking emotions and pretending to care. It was like she was acting for a jury to convict her. Of course, Diane was found guilty on all charges.
Psychiatrist diagnosed her with narcissistic histrionic and antisocial personality disorder, but an insanity defense wouldn't get her out of this one. She was sentenced to life plus 50 years in prison. The judge made it clear that he hoped Diane Downs will never regain her freedom and see the light of day. Well, with a life plus 50, I would say that guarantees she doesn't see the light of day, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Where are Diane Downs' kids today?
The 2 surviving children were taken in by Fred Hughey, the prosecutor of the case. He and his wife Joanne officially adopted them in 1984. As we mentioned, Diane was pregnant with her fourth child in court. She had her baby in jail a month after her trial ended, and she named her daughter Amy.
Okay. I'm liking this. This is giving me some feel goods. So the
Yeah.
prosecutor ends up adopting. Okay, so I'm liking this. This part's got me getting the feel goods.
Mhm.
Really, what's wrong here? A pregnant woman going through trial. This case, our system just allows this happening. It's ridiculous.
True.
I have a lot to say on that, actually, Fairy Dust. Maybe if we have time here at the end, I'll mention it, or I'll go live in the coming weeks and kind of discuss something about that.
Doesn't that just look sweet?
This is great. This just makes my heart happy.
Yeah.
Aww. What a great outcome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tragedy, all of it. But, like, this is so good. So good. Those are real smiles on those faces compared to what we were seeing before.
Yeah.
10 days before her sentencing, the baby was seized by the state of Oregon. Soon after, she was adopted by a loving family and was renamed Rebecca Becky Babcock. She grew up not knowing who her birth mother was, but she was always curious. She escaped her high security prison. What?
Even while she was locked up, Diane couldn't stay out of trouble. On July 11th, 1987, the convicted child killer escaped the Oregon Women Correctional Center of Oregon Department of Corrections. It didn't take long for the police to recapture her in Oregon on June 21st.
Unreal. Unreal. Do you know how many people get locked up in prison and never escape? And this psychotic, crazy bleep manages to escape? What? She probably convinced some man in there, some stupid man. Sorry, men over there in the chat. But she probably convinced some man to help her escape. Unreal. All right. Deaf the Dark tirade personality going with psychotic issues. Shako had a comment earlier that Nick lied and had impregnated her.
Oh,
Angie said, Angie and Rick Family Adventures said, I have heard of another story where a woman drove her car into the ocean to try and kill them because her boyfriend didn't want kids. Luckily, some bystanders saved them. It's unreal. It's unreal what some people are willing to do to their children. And the stories are getting more and more horrific. There was a story recently, I've talked about it on this channel before, where there was a child that the mother and the boyfriend somehow had killed the child. It was an autistic child. And there was 3 children altogether, and the autistic child had been killed and left and put in a closet. And the body of that child was left in the closet for, I think, several years. And then the mom and the boyfriend moved out and left the other 2 children in that apartment with the dead body.
I remember.
For years. Like,
Oh.
and finally, then somebody, I don't know how the state finally, the boy, one of the kids finally called the police and said, hey,
Yeah.
we need help. And neighbors had been feeding these kids. Why didn't the neighbors call the police? Like,
Yeah,
it was,
because the parents moved to another house, right?
yeah, the parents were
And
living in a completely different apartment.
Yeah.
And leaving these kids like that. I mean, the stories, we could go on and on about the cases like this currently going on. That's another story idea, honestly, if you guys want to hear it. But yeah, let's jump back into this story. She was sentenced to an additional 5 years in prison for the jailbreak to be served simultaneously with her current sentences. That sounds like a small punishment for a big crime. She would be eligible for parole in 25 years, which is a scary thought. How would she be eligible for parole? She had life plus 50 years tacked onto that. How is
Right.
she eligible for
Makes sense.
parole? I'm confused. This is nonsense. Parole hearing.
After 25 years, it was time for the parole consideration for Diane. And Diane Downs is considered a dangerous offender, and under Oregon law, that means she will be eligible for a parole hearing every 2 years until she's released or dies behind bars.
She has a life sentence plus 50 years. She needs to die behind bars. What is the confusion, justice system? Where does the confusion lie here? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Life means life, does it not? In her first parole application, the murderous mother reaffirmed her innocence. Over the years, she explained, I have told you and the rest of the world that a man shot me and my children. I have never changed my story. She probably should change her story because clearly this one's not working for her.
Exactly.
Parole denied.
Diane's first parole hearing was in December 2008. Lane County District Attorney Douglas Harkler wrote to the parole board. Downs continued to fail to demonstrate any honest insight into her criminal behavior. Even after her conviction, she continued to fabricate new versions of events under which the crimes occurred.
Hello, Tracy. Hello and welcome. Okay, so somebody said something about, hold on one second here. There's something, where did that comment go? Something about 20 years. Oh, here it is. If not stated natural life, it could mean 20 years. See, that to me makes no sense because, like, life means life. Or it should. In
Right.
my head, it should. I'm not the justice system or an attorney of any means, but life should mean life, like your life. But I guess that is what the justice system means by life. No, she would need to be sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. And that's what should have happened. If the judge wanted to see her spend the rest of her life behind bars, then he should have sentenced her to life without parole plus 50 years. Why didn't he do that? Someone help me understand why the judge didn't do that. Diane alternatively refers to her attacker as a bushy-haired stranger, two men wearing ski masks or drug dealers. I guess she can't keep her story straight. It's just insane that she continues to lie. Literally nobody believes her.
Because now it's two men when it was just one man.
I've kept my story the same all these years.
Yeah.
10 more years.
Down participated in the hearing. She was not allowed to give a statement, but she answered some questions from the parole board. After 3 hours of interviews and a half hour of deliberation, Diane Downs was denied parole, and she was eligible to reapply in 2010.
It's especially nonsense the more the medical community learns about these types of mental disorders. The legal community is way behind on the research. Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, they're learning that there's no cure or no possibility for these people to change.
Yeah.
If there's no possibility for them to change, then there's no reason they should be paroled. Like, if they're going to go out and reoffend because there is no help for them, then they don't need to be out there. Like, she doesn't even admit to doing this. Why should she ever be allowed out there on the street again? That's craziness.
Cray.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I didn't even see Shaco's other comment. He said, these people don't get better. Yeah.
No. And she's crying.
Oh, now she cries? She cries for herself. She doesn't cry for her children. She's crying for herself. Of course she's crying. I just want to flick the screen right now. Flick her little head. Ding!
Her do the little pinch.
Yeah. Squishing your head. I'm squishing your head.
Diane Downs faced her second parole hearing in December 2010. As you can imagine, she was denied again. Under a new law, Diane would not be eligible for parole. This means she needed to wait until 2020, and that was a bad year for everyone. And Diane Downs was certainly no exception.
So the big scare we all had maybe had a benefit. It affected negatively her life, and I'm good with that.
Yep.
Small Sacrifices by Anne Rule. True crime author Anne Rule, known for her book The Stranger Beside Me about serial killer Ted Bundy, wrote Small Sacrifices in 1987, a story detailing the life of Diane Downs. Small Sacrifices was turned into a made-for-TV movie in 1989 with Farrah Fawcett starring as Downs. Oh, I'm sure Downs loved that Farrah Fawcett played her.
Oh, yeah.
That child looks terrified.
Do not tell them I shot you. Anne Rule and Diane Downs appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show. People continue to be shocked by this unbelievable story. Diane still maintains her innocence despite the clear evidence that she is lying. It seems like the pathological liar may actually believe her false stories.
They say that. They say that they convince themselves over time that what they're saying is actually true. And I believe that, dealing with the person that I've had to deal with throughout my life. I truly believe that they do indeed believe themselves. Reminds me of that female Jodi Arias that lived for the attention. Did you do a story on Jodi Arias? We have not done a story on Jodi yet. Nope. Yeah, she's something too.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, no, we didn't do Jodi.
Mm-mm.
Okay. What happened to Becky? Not Becky. Our Becky. Our Becky's great.
Yeah.
She's doing great. She gave us the story.
Mm-hmm.
Check out the pinned comment.
Yeah.
As for Becky, she grew up in a happy home, but the crimes of her mother still haunted her. When she was about 11, Becky tricked her babysitter into telling her the name of her biological mother, Diane Downs. This life-changing revelation took Becky on her own crazy journey. I can only imagine, and that's something that I'm sure she needed to know.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure that at some point in her life, she needed to know who her mother was. But finding that out would be unreal.
Horrific. Yeah. She now says the impact of Diane Downs being my mom has altered the course of my life so many times, but I'm on track and really happy with the way life is.
Was Becky? Yeah, Becky was the baby that was in her belly through the trial.
Yeah.
And Becky was adopted out, and then they didn't tell her who her mother was, and then I guess the babysitter ended up. Which, seriously, the babysitter? What? Why did the babysitter think that it was okay to do that?
I know. It's
That's
crazy.
some big news to drop on, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. She looks a lot like her mother.
Mm-hmm.
She's beautiful, but
She just doesn't have the crazy eyes.
the eyes and the nose look like her mother, but she doesn't have the crazy added into it.
Yeah.
She does look like a lot like her mother.
Yeah.
Curiosity killed the cat.
Growing up, Becky adopted mother Jackie Babcock tried to calm her daughter's curiosity about her adoption, so she gave her little bits of information. However, the questions kept coming, and eventually Jackie stopped answering her question, knowing the truth would be too much for a little kid to handle.
You know, Angie and Rick's Family Adventures, I was thinking the same thing, and then my brain ran to, I wonder if the babysitter was family. So I wonder if
Yeah,
like
could have been.
it was a nephew or a niece or somebody who you know, heard it through the grapevine of family. You know what I mean? So who is Becky's father? Nick. So no, it wasn't Nick. She did get pregnant at the time, but it wasn't Nick. Nick was not the father of the child. Although she wanted Nick so badly, why was she sleeping around with all these other men?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if it was just like a regular, but you know, also though in small towns, news travels. So like, it could have just been a random babysitter, and then like the town all knew that this little girl, and it was just a matter of time. But if that's the case, if it's that high profile and the town knows, and your daughter's going to find out eventually, I would already have told her so that no one else ended up being the one to drop that information.
Yeah.
I would want to be the one, because I've had to deal with that kind of, not like this big of information, but like stuff that I didn't want to tell my kids because it's too early to tell my kids, but I have to because otherwise they're going to find it out other ways, and I'd rather be the one to tell them. You know what I mean? So I think every parent has to kind of make that choice. But this would be a whole scenario. But Becky said that before the answers stopped, Jackie told her that there was a book written about her biological mother. Days after she secretly got the name from her babysitter, Becky headed to the bookstore. Oh no. A shocking revelation. Can you imagine being a teenager or a kid? I'm sure she wasn't a teenager, but she was probably a verge of teenage because she's going to the bookstore, right?
Yeah.
She's smart enough to put all that together, so she's probably preteen when she's finding this out. And reading a book.
Becky didn't know what to expect when she opened the book. She explained that when she looked at the pictures, I saw who she was and what she looked like, but it didn't satisfy her. It wasn't a face I wanted to see, just a cold look in her eyes scared me.
That look we've all been looking at.
Yeah.
Diane Downs, Best Kept Secrets. I think I know this story and it's not a good ending. Well, actually, Nettie's done kind of the update on the kids here. 2 of the kids were adopted by the prosecutor, so they've lived a really, really good life. The one little girl passed away. Just to kind of jump back in where we kind of got a little update on the kids. The one little girl did pass away. The other 2 were adopted by the prosecutor and living, you know, a pretty happy life. And then now we're talking about the baby that she was pregnant with, and seems that she did struggle a bit. And this is how she found out about who her mother was. She added, the reality set in that that's who gave birth to me. I slammed the book shut and left. Becky said that she didn't tell her parents what she had discovered. Over the years, she heard a few more details about her biological mother, but it wasn't until she was 16 that it really affected her. The night Becky lost her innocence.
The teenager was at her boyfriend's house, and the pair decided to watch a 2-part miniseries based on a book. She said that she told him a few things about her mother, and without Becky's knowledge, he decided to rent the tape.
Oh my gosh.
Can you imagine watching the movie?
Becky explained that watching the movie broke her heart and her life went into a downward spiral. She said, it was gut-wrenching. It changed me. My innocence was gone. She couldn't cope with the fact that this was the person who made her. She's so much more light and beautiful and just, she doesn't look, I mean, she looks like her mom, but she looks so light and airy. And I think you all get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
A difficult time.
Becky explained that she started taking drugs, dropped out of school, like her birth mother. Becky began dating multiple men and got pregnant as a teen. She also told 2020 that her relationship with her adoptive mother started to deteriorate during that time.
It was very scary to have any relation to that woman. That's what really scared me, to feel any sort of connection to such a monster. A part of me was afraid that that's where I came from. Does that mean that's where I'm going? Reaching out to Diane.
She was 17. Becky got pregnant with her first son. She got pregnant again at 21, but her relationship with the baby daddy ended before she gave birth. After she was forced to move into a homeless shelter, Becky made a tough but wise decision to give the second child up for adoption.
No. Becky explained that giving up that baby for adoption made her decide to reach out to Diane in jail. I wanted her to be a person. I wanted to relate to her not as a mother, because I had a mother, just as somebody who was heartbroken to give up her child. She added that she hopes to have a connection. What?
So apparently she thought she was heartbroken giving her up, but
Not her mother.
they exchanged several letters, but then Becky said they kept getting stranger. That's when I completely regretted messaging. She sent, 12 pages of how she's innocent, and this is who really did it. She thinks, Becky said.
I had to accept that she really does struggle mentally. She really did have something wrong with her, and it doesn't mean that I do too. Thankfully, she came out stronger on the other side, saying, "When I was young, I worried that I would be like Diane Downs. As I grew up, I realized nature is not going to win over nurture."
Yeah.
Ready for my close-up.
After her arrest, Diane still wanted the spotlight on her, so she appeared on Oprah via satellite from jail. Anne Rule, the author of Small Sacrifices, was there with Oprah. And let's just say, Diane wasn't very happy with the book and how she was portrayed in it.
Oh, she was portrayed as herself and she wasn't happy about it?
Yeah.
Look.
Hi.
I'm also kind of giggling because, like, the
Look how old it
style, Oprah's hair and just the clothes and everything. It was a time back then.
Yeah.
Even after her conviction, Diane continued to deny the truth. She maintains this bushy-haired man's story, but don't worry, Oprah asked Diane all the tough questions that she didn't answer. She even called Diane out for telling the tragic story as if she were talking about a trip to the state fair. Hi, Amber's Paraworld. Hello, hello. Denying the truth.
The interview goes on with Diane bashing Anne Rule for her book. Yet everything the prisoner said made absolutely no sense. She went on about how someone else did this to her children. Nobody believed a word of it. And that's Anne Rule. Yeah.
I'm muted. That's the author?
Yeah, that's the author.
Amber, I love your profile picture. I love that. I don't know if you did the makeup for that or if that's just a picture you found. I absolutely love your profile picture though. Linda Barker said, Oprah's hair, right? Media makes millions off such tragedies. This is very true. They do. When the talk show host asked Diane why her own daughter, Christy, would say her mother did this, Diane had another excuse. She explained how the police coerced the young girl into testifying against her mother. No.
Yeah. According to Diane, Christy wanted to see her mom so badly, and the police told her the only way she'll see her if she told them what they wanted to hear.
That's ridiculous. That's such a ridiculous story. And see, that's again where her not being able to lie in a good, like she's not even a good liar because that doesn't make sense. Okay, so you did that is face paint and you did that. That looks amazing. You did a really good job with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's going to lie and say, I want to see my mom.
Yeah, it doesn't even make sense. I'm gonna tell the police my mom shot me so that I can go see my mom.
Yeah.
Like that's Christy's confession. However, that's not what happened at all. First off, we know Christy was terrified of her mother, considering her heart rate increased as soon as she saw her in the hospital. Second of all, the reason Christy didn't speak at first was because of a stroke she had impaired her hearing. Yeah, there was no coercing.
Right.
And her heart rate increasing, she didn't do that on her own. Like
get her out of my room.
Yeah.
Once she recovered and began speaking, it took the psychologist months to get the 9-year-old to trust them enough to tell them what she saw that traumatic night. Can you blame the poor girl for having trust issues? Diane said it's because Christy knows Diane didn't do it.
No, it's because that girl lived through some really traumatic crap.
Yeah.
and then had to be the one to put her, like, she knew she was about to tell them what her mom did. She had to come to terms with the fact that her mom did that to her too, in her own head.
Right.
The truth about her jailbreak.
You're gonna get a you're gonna crack up about this.
When the talk show host asked Diane about her jailbreak, I'm sure you're wondering where she was for 10 days. As it turns out, Diane went to her cellmate's husband's house. She claims the reason she left was to find the man who really did this to her children. Oh my gosh, she's still hoeing about. What?
Yeah.
Get her some garden gloves, because this woman has problems. What in the world? I am sure when she got back, they didn't let her go. No. You know what? I wonder what happened when she got back. Did the cellmate beat her down? Like, you went and saw my husband? Like,
yeah.
Pow, pow.
Yeah. Like, no, you didn't. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And for him to do that, you know?
Unreal.
She's like, oh man.
She's just annoyed. She looks just annoyed.
But as you might have guessed, the talk show host didn't buy it. Andrew explained how she thinks Diane did this because she saw children as replaceable. That's why she had an obsession with getting pregnant. Diane actually laughed and denied all those allegations.
This woman is disgusting. Is Diane Downs still alive? Diane spoke to Oregon Live about the C virus sweeping through her jail. Her next parole hearing was scheduled for 2021. Let's hope the 65-year-old dies in there. Anybody else hoping she does? I'm hoping she does. Me? Raise your hand, everybody, if you're hoping she does.
Oh, please, oh, please, oh, please, oh, please.
Linda says, still hoeing about. You crack me up, baby. Well, I mean, she escaped to go to her cellmate's husband. Like, it's not even that she's finding her own men. She's going to her cellmate's husband.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a long time ago, the 2021 thing. So my guess is she's still kicking it in the jail.
Diane Downs, meanwhile, continues to serve a life sentence. Her latest parole hearing in 2021 was denied.
Yay! They know what to deny. Deny, deny, deny.
Yeah.
Oh, you looking rough, Diane. I ain't got a problem talking about your looks. You look rough. And I squishy your little head.
It's softer now because she's older.
Yeah, your little soft, wrinkly head. Man, and she's still, after all these years, keeping up the same BS story.
Yeah.
That's disgusting. She's a disgusting excuse for human taking up the earth, the air on this earth. She's gross.
Yeah.
I hope that she rots there. I hope that we get news that something bad happened to her. I don't know. And I don't wish bad things on people, so maybe I shouldn't be doing that because that's going to bring bad karma to me, and I don't want no bad karma. But I can't,
you know?
I can't imagine what those kids, one passed away, right? But then there's the two that survived that. So they witnessed it. that was their mother that did that to them. The nightmares that they still probably to this day, there's no way that that's completely just gone. They're good and fine now. You know what I mean? Like there's going to be residual effects on their bodies from the stuff that they went through that they've lived with their whole entire life.
Yeah.
From what she did to them. And she's still to this day running her mouth and saying, like, not only did this little girl have to be brave enough to say her mom did it, but now still as an adult, her mom is calling her a liar after shooting her. Like, disgusting. This is just disgusting. That woman is disgusting. So we have lots of hands up. And then we have, let's hope her soul learns after she does, and she doesn't incarnate as a horrible human again. And I hope that she incarnates as a fly and just lands on poop for the, like, that would be her. That's what she deserves.
Yeah.
Just be a fly that lands on poop all the time or something.
And then I can smack her with the
smack her away. That's where when she comes back reincarnated, she's just a fly.
Yeah.
She likes gardening so much, you know. I just figured maybe that'd help her. She always looks like she's rolling her eyes in the back of her head. She does. She's got an attitude problem. She thinks she's better than everybody else and smarter. That trauma doesn't go away. Right. It doesn't. I hope they have had therapy for their trauma. I'm sure living with the prosecutor that they had the best possible like shot at like therapy and a good life and all of that. I'm sure that they did. They looked like they had real true smiles on their faces in that picture, which makes my heart very happy. But even with the best shot and all of the things that you could possibly give them, I would still assume that there's going to be stuff that you're going to have to deal with in your brain and your body for the rest of your life because of what they went through. So, you know, it just disgusts me that any child would have to live through that and then carry that through their adult life. I can't imagine. If she gets out, I'd be nervous if I were the bushy-haired man. Oh, well, she was on a mission to find the bushy-haired man when she went to her cellmate's husband to go garden. She lives in her own world, and in her world, she makes herself the victim.
True.
Very true. We are coming up on an hour and 30 minutes, so we probably need to wrap this up here. Let me know, come back and comment on the video if you're interested in this, but I was thinking about doing a new series on my channel, but I need to know what everyone thinks. I finally am going to be able to talk about a situation that I have gone through for 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, going on almost 20 years that involves the legal system, which is kind of why I am so interested in true crime. And so I finally am going to be able to kind of have a voice and speak my truth and maybe tell my story a little bit and talk about some stuff that I've dealt with the judicial system and courts and just kind of my take on things that I feel and maybe some stuff that I've kind of dealt with that maybe other people haven't, you know, like my childhood and abuse and things like that I've gone through, and just stuff that I think might be helpful if other people had suffered that, to kind of open the door for communication and to talk about it. I think that's kind of healthy sometimes. So if anyone is interested in me starting a new series on that, come back and comment on this video and let me know. And then maybe I will get that new series started. with that being said, Nettie just dropped a new video yesterday.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
So everybody make sure you go check that out. And like I said earlier, Tommy Travels put out some great content lately. There was some other people I mentioned. Go check out everybody that's been chatting over there in the comment section. They're all great people. Timmy Ray, we see you popping in there. Hello, hello.
Yeah.
And we will be back next Sunday with a new story.
Yep.
Got anything to add, Nettie, before we wrap it up?
If you have any suggestions of stories, feel free to also put them in the comment section of this video, or you can email them as well, because this one we got from Becky's Roaring Becky's Travel. So we do love suggestions.
Yeah. Oh, Tommy, on the video game suggestion, I actually have been trying to think about how I could do the VR thing. I'm going to be setting up my office a little bit differently. That'll be the surprise that's coming. And when I do that, I'm hoping to be able to add more of the content in other than just the Sunday shows. So that's kind of my goal. I've been working towards that, and we're almost there. So hopefully some exciting stuff will be coming to the channel. So, all right. Well, wishing you all a wonderful and fantastic week. We'll see you here next Sunday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. Wishing you all much kindness and much love.
And what we like to say is, it's not goodbye, but we'll see you soon. Good night, y'all.